So good evening. We are back to the study of the Spirit's book. We started book 3 recently, and last week we started on good and evil, which is next to last chapter of item of chapter 1. We stopped on question 641. And we are going to start today on 642. Philip, can you read for us?
Yes, I can. 642. Is it enough to simply not do what is evil in order to please God and to ensure our future happiness? No, we must do good to the best of our abilities. Each of you will have to answer for all the evil that has resulted from the good that you have failed to do.
Yeah, this short question, is one of the most important questions that we will find in the moral laws and actually in the whole book. Because many times we question this notion that, and we hear people saying, well, I'm not doing any harm. But not doing any harm is not enough, according to the spirits. We have to do good to the best of our abilities. So, because the consequences for our personal evolution and our personal growth will be not only for the evil we have avoided to do, but also for the good that we have failed to do. So every time we miss an opportunity to help and assist someone in need, we missed an opportunity. Of course, we cannot go out there saving the world because we don't have the capability. But on our daily lives, on our daily struggles, every opportunity we have to help someone in need, any type of need, and we miss that opportunity, we create a karma, we create a responsibility for us. Again, it's not something for us to be over concerned, because we cannot start thinking that we are failing miserably in this incarnation because we are not doing the good that we can. We are imperfect spirits. We are still struggling to learn, and we are still learning to overcome our selfishness and our pride. So for us, the action of helping others is not our inner nature still. When you look up at more evolved spirits, like a Mother Teresa, right? You can see that it was inside of her, the desire to help. It was second nature to her. It's not second nature for us at this level of evolution. Second nature for us is to protect ourselves and try to do the best for ourselves. Now, how can we balance this with helping others and with understanding the opportunities of how can we help others? Because sometimes opportunities that we look at as opportunities to help others can cause us to interfere with others a little bit too much. So also to find this balance, I was reading a question today it was nothing related to spirit, an analyst, a therapist, and someone asked the therapist that her sister is in an abusive relationship and struggles to get by with the kids and everything. How can she interfere? And the therapist said, you can only interfere if your sister wants your help. Because if you go there and try to interfere, you risk alienating your sister and making the situation worse for both of you. So it's an example of how we need to balance and understand the need for others to receive the help with what help can we give and what help they are open to receive without interfering with their free will. It's not easy, it's complex, but if you think of the concept, right? Because before Jesus, most of other philosophers, religions, preached, do not do to others what you don't want others to do unto you. And Jesus comes and says, do to others what you want others to do to you. Active, be active in trying to help others. So it's a very important question. It's important for us to reflect on it and to carry with us on our daily lives to the best of our ability and understanding. A little bit. Oh.
No, you said everything. Also what Jesus had said before and how he changed the paradigm. That at one point in our more intellectual progress, to not cause harm was already good. And he comes and said, no, you guys know better now. I'm gonna give a new paradigm. Now you must be proactive. Do to others what would you like us to do you in the same situation.
Yeah.
So it's a completely shift of a new paradigm in moral teachings.
Spiritism say anything that could help us decide whether the intent of trying to help could actually be harmful. For example, when we have kids and we try to help them too much and they don't progress on their own, for example, or worse.
Yeah, it's a delicate balance also, right? Because if you overprotect, you are also causing harm to especially to your children, right? There is this famous case on it's in the domain now, it's the domain of mediumship. Which book of André Luiz, the mother that has 4 kids that she's coming back to because she overprotected them, and the 4 of them were completely lost. And she's telling André Luiz, it's in Missionaries of the Light, and she's telling André Luiz that she's going to reincarnate and get all the 4 back because she needs to treat them right this time, and a couple of them are going to come with the physical restrictions and things like that. So again, it's complex, but we have to understand that we are imperfect spirits, right? So we have to be patient with our limitations. So in the end, your conscience is what's going to judge you, right? So if you made the best effort with what you knew at that time, even if later you recognize that you should have done different, but that's later, with what you knew at the time, you did the best you could, you should have a clean conscience. You should force yourself to have a clean conscience. We carry the guilty, we carry, every time they make mistakes, we blame ourselves, and you know, we have to be careful not to become paralyzed by our own guilty, our own sense of inability to help, right? We have to do the best we can with what we have, and accept our limitations, accept our imperfections. It's hard, but again, the fact that we know all of this, we're already conscious of this, it's already a first step towards improving the way we are able to help, because many people are not aware, don't even care, and they go causing harm around them and creating bad consequences for them, right? The fact that we are here, we're trying, we are committed to try to learn. And we are aware that we have to try to put in practice what we are learning here. It's already a very good step forward. And we continue progressing. We are going to study the law of progress, so we're going to continue progressing, but it's not easy. If it was easy, we wouldn't be here, right?
I think what spirit is bring was the most that matter. It's reason. It suggests to us that you must reason, not just take offense. It's not of action or reaction. If I act this, what the likelihood, the consequence will be. What we are create if I do this. What spiritual gives us by using this, and sometimes it's do nothing. Sometimes wash your hands, take your hands off. Sometimes something else. Sometimes it's I am this. But always with reason, with the best intention of promoting something good, especially dealing with family, dealing with our own kids. Sometimes you have to be, with hard years. Sometimes you have to go to self-touch. Sometimes you have to take your hands off. But always allow reason to overpower emotion, because that's what's part. If you only like act emotionally, chances are you're going to get it wrong. Right? So it's reasoning with the intention of providing the best opportunity for kids. And take the example from what we witness in these doctrine. This experience and why the experience allowed them to suffer. It was good for them. Why is not going to look do something? Because it's good for them.
Yeah, especially with our children, it's always very hard. But if you remember the passage from the gospel, right? They are eternal spirits, so we have to make the best we can to help them. But if we do the best we can according to our possibilities and our limitations, and we fail, it's their responsibility, right? The problem is if we are not doing the best we can according to our knowledge and understanding. If we are ignoring them, or if we are overprotecting them, it's trying to find the balance, right? And respect their own free will as much as they can have free will. Depends on their age, right? Of course. So sometimes all we can do is, like I said, all we can do is, wait for them to reach their own, find their own path, right? One of the most well-known spiritist speakers nowadays, he said that from 24 to 28, he abandoned completely. He went out. He didn't give much details. And he experienced other things. He didn't want to hear about anything related to spiritism. And then he came back. And nowadays, 10 years later, he's one of the best spiritist speakers. So, it was his time to try. Maybe he didn't need. It's only him can judge his own choices, right? But sometimes when we are young, we have to make choices and sometimes make mistakes, because the best way for us to learn, right? Someone once told me, if your children make only small mistakes, be happy, because they are going to make mistakes. Just pray that they make only small mistakes. Yes. Okay.
643.
643.
Are there individuals who are incapable of doing good? There is no one who cannot do some good. Only the selfish find no opportunity of doing so. The mere fact of being in contact with other human beings provides the opportunity of doing good every day of your lives. for those who are not consumed by self-interest. Doing good is not restricted to giving to charity, but also includes being useful whenever your assistance may be needed to the full extent of your power.
There are never individuals who are incapable of doing good. At our level of evolution, we have more evolved, less evolved, more selfish, less selfish. But like it says in the gospel, right? Even the most hardened criminals have the ones that they love and have the ones that love them. And even in a selfish way, if they are trying to help their loved ones, right? So they are capable of doing good. Now, of course, doing good has different forms and different opportunities according to different individuals. And sometimes you see people that you look at them and you think that they are pretty selfish. They are incapable of doing good. But, you know, if you look at their past, you see that the very little they are doing is already more than they were doing in previous existences. So it is progress. God's law, as we studied a couple of weeks ago, God's law is imprinted in our conscience. And the notion of goodness and all these perfect laws, we all carry with us. So the propensity of doing good is part of our internal build. What we do is, because in our evolution process, we are trying to defend ourselves, we act on our instincts, we develop these self-defense mechanisms that we end up accumulating in transforming them in selfishness, and then we combine this with pride, and then we end up minimizing the ability of doing good to others. But nobody's incapable of doing good. All the spirits have something inside of them that they are able to do good. Okay?
644.
Yes.
Can the situations in life have human beings often find themselves lead them into vice and crime? Yes, but those very situations are a part of the trial that has been chosen by their spirits when free. They have chosen to expose themselves to those temptations to acquire the merit of resistance.
So we know that the law is of progress, and to evolve, we need to face the challenges, the trials and atonements related to our need to grow. And atonements, a lot of times, are related to the mistakes we did in our past. So if we made a mistake and we learn that we made a mistake in the spiritual world, but to realize if we have overcome that bad tendency, we have to face the same situation. So many spirits are born in the middle of difficult situations, difficult environments, so they can be tested. So like the question that Kardec asked here, the situations in life that lead them to vice and to crime. Yes, it can, but they can resist. The test is to resist. If it is a trial, is to learn how to live in a situation like that. If it is an atonement, an opportunity to face challenges that we fail in past existences and have the opportunity to overcome them. Many times we fail. What happens is that we, in our evolutionary path, we fall in the same traps over and over again. So spirits, so why you see, for instance, a difficult neighborhood with a lot of crime and vices, right? And the majority of the individuals that live in the neighborhood fall into the trap of crime and vices, right? A lot of them were there for the opportunity to get out of this situation, but many fail. And what happens is that you have to come back and you have to try again. Our progress is very, unfortunately, our progress is very little in incarnation, in each incarnation. Because of our level of selfish and pride still very high and in our inner beings, it's very difficult for us to overcome them in one incarnation or to reduce a lot. So we are sometimes able to reduce a little, but let's say you are surrounded by people that are becoming rich through crime, and you are there and you are poor. It's very tempting, right? You look around and you see people taking advantage of situations, and then you think, you know, why can't I also take advantage of this situation? The opportunity to learn is not to take advantage of the situation. And for those that succeed, it's a huge progress. We see some stories of people that come from very difficult neighborhoods, people that grow up in the slums in Brazil, in gangs here, that can get out of them and not only get out of them, but go back and help those in need, right? You have some NGOs formed by people that came out of these difficult situations and decided to create an NGO to help these individuals. So it shows that it's possible, right? And on the other hand, you have people spirits born in very comfortable situations that fall into vices, into crime, and because on the other hand, they had an opportunity of doing good with what they had with them, but they cannot overcome their inferior tendencies and fall trap of these opportunities. So it's challenging. It's always challenging, but again, you can only be sure that you overcame an imperfection when you are faced with a situation again. Because if you isolate yourself in the mountains and you are not exposed to any temptations, you cannot say that you overcame the temptations, because you are not tested, right? You have to be in the middle of the situation to really be able to say that, or to look back and say, I conquered myself, I conquered that imperfection, and now I can move to the next one, right? Because we have a long list of imperfections. Okay?
Yeah, there's the Portuguese proverb that if a situação faz o ladrão, so the situation creates or makes the thief.
Yeah.
In reality, the situations reveals the thief, reveals the criminal.
Yeah.
Because the one who does not have this vice will not make use of that situation to take advantage of it.
Okay, questions, comments? Okay, 6:45.
When a person is surrounded by vice, doesn't the impulse to commit vile acts become almost irresistible? The impulse is strong, but not irresistible, because you can sometimes find great virtues within yourself despite being surrounded by vice. Spirits who remain virtuous in the midst of evil temptations have acquired enough strength to resist temptation and fulfill the mission of exercising a beneficial influence on those around them.
Again, the spirits tell us very clearly here, the impulse is strong but not irresistible. And in those places, there is always missionaries, spirits that decide to incarnate them there, that they are not going to get involved in these situations, and they are there to help those that can be helped and want to be helped. So every time you go to these difficult places, these challenging neighborhoods, countries, and places, you will always find spirits that are there to help those that want to be helped. And again, spirits who remain virtuous in midst of evil temptations have acquired enough strength to resist temptation. That's how we build our strength, right? Overcoming the temptations, and that's the progress that we are going to make. Not easy, very challenging. Most of spirits at our level of evolution fail. This is why this is a world of trials and atonements, not a world of regeneration. When we change to a world of regeneration, we're going to see what? More spirits will succeed in overcoming than failing. Now we have more spirits failing than overcoming, but we are in the transition. So the planet of regeneration is where goodness prevails over evil. Both exist, but goodness prevails. Where we are now, evil prevails over goodness, but we are almost finding balance. You find countries in the world that you can say they are already in a world of regeneration, right? Where the one that makes most money, the difference between those that make the most money and those that make the least, it's not very, very big. There are some few countries in the world like this, right? New Zealand, Denmark, Finland. So you go there, and what happens? There is no evil there. There is still evil. There are still spirits that are, taking advantage, committing crimes. But the vast majority of the population respect others, respect the others' rights, and live in harmony. So if you want to see how a world of regeneration will be, you can look at these places, right? On the other hand, you have some countries, and now I'm not going to name names here, that look more like a primitive world than a world of trials and atonements, right? Because the chaos and evil prevail so much over the few that are trying to do good, but you will always find those trying to help. You will always find those that go there to try to help and assist. You find NGOs like Doctors Without Borders that go to the most difficult places and try to help. You find those NGOs that goes to those places that are suffering from hunger, like Gaza nowadays, and try to help under the risks that they are facing, right? So it is progress, sometimes difficult to see, but it is progress. And we can look around, and we are able to see the different aspects of progress and of the evolution of the world. Okay?
646.
Yes.
Is the merit of good measured by the conditions under which the action has been committed? In other words, are there different degrees of merit in doing right? The merit of good depends on the difficulty entailed. There would be no merit in doing right without self-discipline and effort. God takes more notice of poor individuals who share their only piece of bread than of the rich, who give only what is superfluous to them. Jesus told you, this is his parable of the widow's mite.
Yes, again, the more difficult the situation, the more merit you are going to have by overcoming the situation, right? If you are born in a good family with decent conditions of growing, and you resist the temptations and you become a good adult, you have merit, yes. But someone that is born in a middle of a slum, surrounded by crime and vice, and makes out of it and becomes a good adult, has more merit than the other one. Again, we are not going to compare here, because if you are born in a place that you have good conditions around you, it's because that's what you need at that incarnation. It's not that you need to be born in the most difficult situation to prove yourself. No, you need to be born where you have the best condition of achieving some sort of progress, and that can be anywhere. So, we shouldn't think of the lack of opportunities of facing challenges in our lives, because all of us face numerous challenges in our lives, right? If it's not poverty or wealth or vices, it's difficult members in our families, it's difficult children, difficult work conditions, difficult financial conditions. So everything is an opportunity for us to learn and to evolve. But of course, the more difficult the situation, the more merit you're going to have. And who is going to judge this? You yourself, your own conscience. Jesus, in the parable of the widow's mite, if you remember the parable, right? They are in front of a synagogue there in the temple, right? And a lot of people, the Jewish population at that time, arrived there and were giving gifts. And all the rich people arriving and giving very good gifts to the temple, right? And then comes this widow mite and gives two of the, like today it would be 2 pennies, right? And people laugh at her. And Jesus said, actually, she gave of what she didn't have. So she has more value than all the other people that are giving of what they don't need. It's very easy to give what you don't need, but to give from what you don't have, to help those that are in need with things that you are going to miss, that's the true merit of doing good according to the teachings of Jesus. Okay.
I was thinking, you're talking about individuals born in some areas where they have all the comfort, and others that struggle. And I was thinking of, I was listening to the BBC of this group of volunteers from one of the Scandinavian countries. I think it's Norway, but one of the Scandinavian countries. Volunteer in Gaza and have difficulty with hunger because there was no food not even for them. And I was thinking, well, this guy left one of those countries where everything's absolutely guaranteed for them, and they're going to struggle to be hungry in a different zone. There is a law behind, spiritual law behind that. They guide those individuals, places in those situations to face those difficult trials. So even being born or not born in one in another part of the world, will by itself dictate your trials. Your own necessity will drive you outside of those situations to face what you need in different areas.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really something, right? And we need these people, right? The unknown missionaries, the ones that that are doing things that we barely hear about them. Luisa.
I was just to complete, to add a little bit of information. As I've been studying religions in general, I learned from a good Brazilian speaker who is Jewish himself, that the widow, she does not need to give any gift to the temple, because at the Jewish traditions, widows and the orphans, they are taken care of by the temple. So the temple provides them with everything, so they don't need to give back. So she gave not only what she kind of sort of did not have, but she does not even need to do that, but she did from her heart. That's what I heard this speaker saying.
Thanks, Willie. Yeah, it's very interesting, and that's the true, the true charity, right? If you think of defining through charity, is really giving of what you don't have it, and then giving. Sometimes we ask, right? How can I practice charity if I don't have time, I don't have money, there's always a way to practice charity.
Yes, there's always a way.
There's always a way. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
6:40.
So just a sec, Philip. Danny?
I keep thinking about the language you are using. Like she had the money, but
Yes.
it was very little, and she could have used it for herself, but she shared, right? So I think, at least in my logic of thinking, is like she's not giving something she doesn't have. She does have, but it's not a lot, and it's not a leftover. So it's little, but she's being selfless enough to share the little she has with the temple, right? That's the way I see it, because I think it's if you say she's sharing something that she doesn't have, it's even not.
It sounds like she's stealing from someone else.
Yeah, no, not stealing. It's like she does have,
Yeah.
but very little, because you cannot share what you don't have. And then from that perspective, I see that it's not worth as much as it actually is.
Yeah.
Because
Actually,
giving what you need is much harder, right?
she's giving from what she needed. She had the needed.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
That's the way I see it.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah. It's important to use the right words. So she's giving from what she had, but also needed.
And needed a lot, like a widow, and very little money. But for her, that 2 pennies, it was maybe a lot,
Yeah.
right? Maybe for the ones who are laughing at her, would throw the pennies on like whatever, I don't care about this. I had once a relative from Holland visiting us in New York yet many years ago, and then he saw a penny on the floor. I think we were on like 42nd Street Times Square or something. And then he bent down and got the penny, put on his pocket. And I said, if you do that for every penny you find, you're not going to stand up and see anything in the city, because people here don't value the penny. And he was like, how come? How is this possible? It's money. Well, when you have a lot, just ignore or whatever. So that's the way I see it. So that penny for her could buy a loaf of bread or something. So
Yeah, and you have to also add that at that time a widow could not work, right? She was fully dependent on charity of helping on the temple and others, because widow, if you become a widow at that time, you had to be helped by others.
And I think also, I don't know in Jewish tradition, but women or widows could not inherit as well.
Yes.
The children inherited, or the men, but not the widows.
If you look at if you read the Gospels, right, you find very few names of women there, right? You said the the sons of the wife of I don't know whom, or the wife of someone else. You know, there are very few women's names there, which is you know, the patriarch society forever that we have, right? No, we're still struggling to overcome it, but we'll get there. Okay, so now we're moving towards the division of the natural law. We're going to start studying each of the different natural laws, but first the two questions that are going to explain what we are studying next.
647. Can God's law be summed up in the rule taught by Jesus that exhorts us to love our neighbor? Surely this maxim contains all the duties that you hold with regard to one another, but its various applications must be shown, or humankind will continue to neglect them, as they currently do. Also, natural law covers all the circumstances of life, and the rule you have cited is only one part of it. Humans need specific directions. General guidelines are too vague and leave too many doors open to human interpretation.
Yes, that's very interesting, the answer from the spirits, and very true, right? Because love one another, if we could practice that, we didn't need anything else, right? We didn't need any other laws, because the moment we love truly love one another, because it's very easy for it. Again, the word love is a complicated word, because there are so many different interpretations of the word. But if you think of a happy world, right, which is a couple of stages above the world of regeneration, that's probably the only law they need, right? Love one another. They all love one another because they are evolved spirits, and everything derives from that. It reminds me again on the phrase of St. Augustine, right? Love, and then do whatever you want. Because once you love, truly love, the problem is we don't know how to love, and we still are struggling with the concept, you know, of we struggle with self-love, we struggle to love for our loved ones, the ones close to us, and if we go outside our families, we are much more incapable of loving. But yes, that's all we needed if we were evolved enough. But because we are not, the Spirit tells us here, right? We neglect the various applications of this maxim, and we need specific directions, right? We live in a society that has many laws because we need laws, right? If we didn't have, you know, traffic laws, for instance, which is simple for us to understand. Places without traffic laws are chaos, right? I went to Cairo, the capital of Egypt, 30 years ago. And there are traffic laws, yes, but very few people respect it. And it's chaos. You know, you see people driving around and moving, and in the middle of the road, you have animals, bicycles, and people going from one place. And it's, you look around and say, my God, you know, I thought that the traffic in Brazil was bad. You know, this is beyond bad. So we need laws to discipline ourselves at our stage of evolution. Human laws. Most of them imperfect laws, yes. But without them, you know, look here outside 8th Avenue, right? If it was, they removed the one direction only, or they allow people to cross the street anywhere they want, they already do, but if they allow to cross anywhere they want, imagine the chaos, right? Because we don't do the basic. If we love one another, truly love one another, we will respect others' rights before we exercise our right. But we don't do that. So we need laws, and we need human laws, and you need divine law, the division of the divine laws, as we are going to see, because that's the only way we are going to learn and to prepare ourselves better to deal with our lives. Okay. Right?
648.
Yeah.
What do you think of the division of natural law into 10 parts? The laws of adoration, labor, reproduction, preservation, destruction, society, progress, equality, liberty, and the law of justice, love, and charity. The division of God's law into 10 parts comes from Moses and covers all the circumstances of life, which is the essential point. You may adopt it without being unconditional, just like any of the other various classification systems which depend on the perspective or situation in question. The last law is the most important because it includes all the others. By observing this law, humankind can advance the most quickly in spiritual life.
So Kardec, as he prepares this book, The Moral Laws, he asks the spirits about the division that he has in 10 parts, right? The law of adoration, the law of labor, the law of reproduction, the law of preservation, the law of destruction, law of society, law of progress, law of equality, law of liberty, and law of justice, love, and charity. These are all natural laws. These are all part of the natural law of God's law. The division comes from Moses, and if you know a little bit about Moses and his time, Moses was the disciplinary messenger of God, right? At that time, crossing the desert for 40 years with some very less evolved spirits, so to say, he had to discipline them. So the 10 commandments and the other 603 commandments that he added to the 10 commandments are all disciplinary laws. You know, you love God, love your neighbor, but do not, things that we couldn't do. And then he comes from the mountain and he finds the people adoring the golden calf, right? And he has to punish them, right? Because when you have chaos, you need discipline, right? You ask for any teacher in primary school, right? If they don't discipline the kids, they cannot give classes, right? We are all children in our evolutionary path. We need disciplinary laws still. Jesus came and gave us the law of love because he said it's time for you to go beyond the disciplinary laws, the eye for an eye and the tooth for a tooth. Start learning that the law of love is the most important law. Love God above all, love one another. And 2,000 years later, we're still struggling a lot to learn and to put in practice those laws. So we are going to go through all these laws now, a lot of questions about each one of them. They are very important. As they say here, the most important one is the last one, which is the law of justice, love, and charity, that encompasses all of them. The others, we could think that eventually when we become more and more evolved spirit, still far away, we can have only the law of justice, love, and charity. But you see here that the first word is justice, right? Because justice is a necessity for us to evolve. But it's not human justice, it's the divine justice. The divine justice is the basis for us to progress. love, when we add the law of justice and we put love, true love on top of it, that's when we get to the level of evolved spirits, right? Because you see a lot of justice being done in the lower zones, right? Just have to read the book Liberation and see the descriptions of André Luiz in the lower zones. They are talking a lot about doing justice, practicing justice, but it's justice without love. And again, love and charity. You find many places that mix the two words, and they are not the same. Charity is love in action. Charity goes beyond giving alms to helping others in any possible way. So again, justice, love, and charity in that order, because that order is relevant for our learning and understanding. Because if you have misdirected love and you don't do justice with it, you can cause a lot of harm also, right? So next week, we're going to start with the law of adoration, which is the first one that we are going to have. Okay, any questions, comments here? Okay, we're not going to go to the first part, but you know, next week it's the law of worship or law of adoration, right? Worship is the what we need to do, and we have to start with that, right? Because the first commandment is to love God. And so that's the first law. Okay? So what we have this weekend, on Saturday, we have a talk by Anísio Rezem from California, mediumship as a healing tool. Okay, so this is Saturday at 11 a.m. I'm going to invite you guys for Sunday. So this Sunday, we're going to study the Medium's book. So we're going to be talking about mediumship again. And then Sunday the 24th, there is a live from the International Spiritist Council at 1 p.m., which is ethics and responsibility in mediumship, that I'm going to take part. So you are invited also. You can see all this information on our email, weekly email. Okay, so this Sunday 11 a.m. the Medium's book. And Carol, well, we're back with for those that are not aware, we're back with the book club on Wednesdays, and this next Wednesday, what chapter then you put here? Where is it? Here, found it. Reads chapter 14 of the book A Light in the Darkness by Joana de Angelis and Divaldo Franco, and also the study group on Tuesdays at noon, the Spiritism at noon. It's back with the study of the book A Full Life. Okay, thank you all. Carol, can you do our final prayer?
Yes, very much so. Certainly. Thank you very much, John. And Elmo, thank you for hosting. And also Philip, thank you for reading for us this evening, and everybody who is here participating. What help can we give to another and yet not interfere with their development? We should reflect and do the best to our ability. Be proactive whenever possible each day. Do good, and may our conscience be our guide. We continue to progress with clear reasoning and with the best intentions according to our limitations and development. There can be resistance and temptations to our challenges, which can be due to difficult surroundings and the tendency to our habitual pride and selfishness. Everything can be of a learning experience, and successful outcomes provide uplift and merit. Human laws and spiritual laws assist us with the circumstances of life. We need the love along with the guidance of discipline. And our key, our great key, is charity, is love in action. We give thanks to the spiritual benefactors and the good spirits for guiding and inspiring us this evening. May we receive the love, light, and peace of Christ within us, and for our loved ones, our teachers, our directors, our counselors, our mediums, our workers, and all of our participants. We pray for inner peace, and especially now for world peace and for those who are suffering in the physical and spiritual worlds. We pray for our center, SGNY, and all Spiritist centers throughout the world, that they may grow, prosper, expand, and be protected throughout the day and throughout the night. As we close, we humbly ask for safety and protection as we return to our family, friends, loved ones, and co-workers. And may we go forth now and remind ourselves to be beacons of love, of light, of peace, of service, and charity, which is love in action. May peace and love prevail. So be it.